Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Welcome to another week of fun and frolic here on Get Real America.
Yes, and lots of things going on just here in our little hometown of Savannah, isn't there, Bill?
Sure are. A lot of things going on around the state as well as we continue to look at some of the good news and the bad news that are going on around here, including something that's probably the most notorious case in the history of South Carolina crime. And a jury selection for the double murder trial of disbarred South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh is set to start today. Murdaugh is charged with killing his wife Maggie and his son Paul a couple of years ago. And so jury selection underway right up the road in Colleton County near Walterboro, South Carolina, which is probably about 40, 50 miles to the west of Charleston. Beautiful little community.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't do a change of venue, but maybe he's hoping that some of the people that have stuck by him for so many years will also be selected on that grand jury.
Yeah, for sure, because both of those people were found shot to death at the family's Colleton County hunting property in June of 2021. The interesting thing is that they had a maid, if you remember, who died about 10 or 12 years before in what was called an accident. And after all this took place and some of the nefarious things that this guy was doing, they decided to exhume the body and see maybe it wasn't an accident.
Yes, well, and his son also was responsible for multiple people dying in a boat crash as well. That I think also is what kicked this whole thing off.
It really did, and that was right across the river here, just about a year and a half ago too. So just all sorts of nefarious activities that were going on in this what turns out to be a dysfunctional family.
One of the most dysfunctional that I've heard about, Bill. It's been quite interesting to follow this story and even just hear from a lot of the victims that had Murdaugh represent them and how much he actually took from these families.
Yeah, stealing from clients and things of that nature. We hear this on numerous occasions about attorneys, but boy, this one was really something going along. And then he tries to pay somebody to kill him. So his one of his other sons who didn't kill will get the insurance money. This has so many the tentacles on this thing just go out in so many directions. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, some of the best stories are the ones that are real life, right? You can't make this up. If you sold this to Hollywood, they'd be like, no one would believe this.
When they say truth is stranger than fiction, boy, this is it.
Yes.
In fact, if you remember, there was a great movie. I can't remember the name of it. The medic in World War II, he refused to carry a gun.
Hacksaw Ridge? Is it Hacksaw Ridge?
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge. He refused to carry a gun, and he saved all these people's lives in a battle. He did so much more than the movie portrayed, and the movie portrayed something that was almost inhuman of how many lives this guy saved on a battlefield. But the most amazing thing was they didn't tell all of it because they didn't think people would believe it. Because he did a lot more than what you saw in the flick.
Oh wow!
So they said that the people said, well, why didn't you put this in? Why didn't you put that in? They said people wouldn't have believed it. It's almost like when General Eisenhower went into his first concentration camp. He looked around at his photographer and said, "Take pictures of this because nobody's going to believe it."
No,
how horrible those concentration camps were in World War II. So the defense attorneys point to where the state experts say that he can't form an opinion on whether the stains on Alex Murdaugh's shirt were consistent with the blood spatter from a gunshot. I don't know how much longer it's going to take to get all this straightened out. But the defense said that the state's expert later changed his stance at a meeting with SLED agents. In case you don't know, SLED is the acronym for South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. It's like our GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation here. So this thing has got all sorts of legs that we're going to continue to report on as the time goes along. Now, this guy ought to get 30 days in the electric chair.
Yeah, what he's done has, highly criminal, and all of the people that are also involved and the people that he brought into not only defrauding people, but also someone that could kill their own wife and child. I don't know, Bill.
This is a sick, deranged person. That's all I can say.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Speaking of sick and deranged, things were fun in Atlanta over the weekend.
You know, Bill, all of a sudden Antifa is so active in Atlanta. They really haven't been. And then, we had this incident last week that you and I talked about. They had sent up an autonomous zone. And when the cop went in there and engaged with them, that's when, he the guy had shot the police officer turned fire, killed the guy. And then Antifa, it was on from there. They've been rioting since, I believe, Thursday or Wednesday, because we talked about it on Thursday. So they've been rioting and causing havoc up there in Atlanta. I mean, I don't know how much of the footage you've seen, but it's not good. They had explosives. Who's giving these people explosives?
It's horrendous. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're coming across the illegal aliens. I don't know. Maybe getting from the drug cartels. Who knows where they're getting it? But they're getting a lot of money, and unfortunately, they're getting a lot of it from corporate America, who's signing up with these bastards. Along with the Black Lives Matter. Apparently, Black Lives Matter only matter when they're shot by the police. They don't seem to do anything in Chicago every weekend when they have all sorts of, when 14 or 15 black kids are shot to death. That doesn't bother them. But boy, I'll tell you, a policeman returns fire, defends his life, and you've got hell to pay.
Yeah, and I think we have some video footage from Atlanta.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what give you some of the idea of what this looked like over the weekend. And these cretins that ought to be there, they'll start rounding them up, putting them in 18-wheelers, and getting them the hell out of here.
Can you get your badge numbers?
Yeah.
The White House says that they want Congress to pass a clean debt ceiling increase. No negotiations with Republicans at all.
Many of them don't even live in Atlanta or in the state of Georgia, and they don't represent the voices of Atlanta. And some of them were found with explosives on them. You heard that correctly, explosives, and that has led to a police officer's car being set on fire, and other destruction has occurred. And so, make no mistake about it, these individuals meant harm to people and to property. And so
So the mayor here, I'm actually really impressed that he came out against it. Normally, we have not seen that in the past.
Yeah, when you had Major Lance's daughter, Keisha Lance Bottoms, who she was complicit with all of this garbage. When they had the Wendy's burning and all, and by the way, the Wendy's was a black-owned business, so it was putting a lot of black people out of work as well. But the fact that she is now in the Biden administration, she's now one of Joe Biden's big advisors.
Strange how that works, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, so incompetence galore. So congratulations to the mayor that said they're finally going to do something about this. And these people ought to be rounded up and put in, we can just build our own concentration camps.
I mean, here's the thing, Bill. So I saw mugshots of 6 people that were arrested, which they are arresting these people. 5 out of the 6 don't even live in Georgia. They are not from here. This is the problem. They are paying these people to come in, and we need to get to the bottom of who's paying for it. Get these people out of our cities. They need to be arrested. They need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. What they're doing is, I mean, they were shooting off fireworks again next to the police station up in Atlanta. And I mean, they could injure innocent bystanders. Like, there's no reason for this to happen, especially in a city like Atlanta. You know, we have a Republican governor. I mean, he also needs to come out. I haven't seen anything from Brian Kemp. I know that he's been away at Davos, but, you know, this is a huge problem. And I'm glad that the mayor came out. But the fact that it's been going on since last week and it's Monday, I think that says something, Bill. We've got to put an end to this stuff very quickly, and we've got to start prosecuting these people. And whoever is paying for this, they need to go to jail too.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. In fact, if you remember, all these are outsiders for the most part. We have some locals that will come along. You remember Ferguson, Missouri? They said they were arrested. Joe Schmo from Oakland, California. And I was like, wait a second. This is Ferguson, Missouri, that none of us knew existed, except maybe the 2 or 3 people that lived in Ferguson, Missouri, until it made national headlines. And a 9-year, highly decorated police officer was run out of town on a rail because of lies that were told. And that's where we got the hands up, don't shoot crap. But Oakland, California, I can remember and other disturbances that were taking place where these people, none of them seem to be local. And so once again, it's like, Brittany, it's like you said, getting these people, getting to the bottom of who's paying for this and punishing them as well is something that needs to be taken care of immediately, if not sooner.
So why do you think that it's taken so long? I mean, we're probably almost a week in at this point of all of these shenanigans happening in Atlanta. Why hasn't it been nipped in the bud? Because I will tell you, when I lived in Salt Lake City, the mayor there did not want anything to happen. She wanted the rioting and they had been lighting cars on fire. You know, it was the summer of love. You remember.
Yeah.
And nowhere was exempt from this. If you were in a big city, it was going to happen. But the governor said, absolutely not. The National Guard is here, and we're not putting up with this. It was squashed within an hour. So why is it taking so long in Atlanta?
Because they don't have the guts to do it.
And how acceptable is that to you, Bill? Like, I don't think that that's
totally,
okay.
Totally unacceptable. The fact that the government is not doing its prime directive and just everywhere where you're supposed to be protecting American lives from honest American, hardworking, tax-paying American citizens that are paying for all of this, and yet you have these things that aren't stopped, and the millions of people that are coming across our border that we don't know who they are. And they'll probably be joining up with the Antifa crowd and everybody else, and Black Lives Matter and who knows whom coming up. And it's only going to get worse. You're only going to exacerbate the problem. If you don't stop it, then it's going to get worse. And I don't know why that they think that it's okay to destroy America. I don't know. The people who are in charge don't seem to think that it's not okay to let all these people in. They don't think it's not okay to arrest these people. Give them you said okay, as long as you don't steal over $1,000 worth of stuff, it's okay to take everything that you want from Walgreens or CVS or Kroger or wherever you name the store. Go in and smash up jewelry store counters and take millions of dollars worth of gems and jewels. It's just pathetic that we are not stopping this. And when you don't, you just have nothing but tyranny.
Yeah, well, and I'm also hearing that a lot of these Antifa members are actually, the sons and daughters of wealthy people in this country. So that makes you also wonder, the minority whip. Yes, the minority whip, Catherine Clark, who's been very much out there this 118th Congress, her son was arrested for assaulting a cop during a Boston Antifa event. So do you think that that's going to be heavily reported by the mainstream media?
No, since the mainstream media is nothing but communists as well.
Yeah, but I mean, why are we seeing this? And how come we're not going after her for, not raising a responsible adult that's participating in...
Because she's a Democrat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It must be great to be a Democrat.
Maybe we should just put a Democrat by our last name, and then we'll get away with everything.
Sure. Yeah. Go in and go to Kroger and do a little shopping. Get about $900 worth of steaks, and I'm out of there. Okay.
It's terrible. It's very terrible.
It's awful.
Well, we have so much more to talk about.
Oh, don't we? Although, what a great way to start the week, huh? Coming up next,
we're going to talk about how Joe Manchin is now getting on board with the fact that we need to come to a balanced budget. We need to decrease our spending. So this is the fight that we're seeing up at Capitol Hill now.
Reality setting in as we get real next.
Byrne-Williams Insurance and Financial Services, a locally owned and operated insurance company, proudly serving the Savannah community with integrity, security, and trust. Experience the power of the Shield since 1934. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
At Get Real America, we'd like to thank the Southeast Georgia Republican Assembly for all their efforts on making a difference in our communities.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Monday morning. Here it is, the 23rd day of January already.
How have we already gone so quickly through the month?
Yeah, just about through the first month of 2023.
Yes, and do you know what's happening on Friday the 27th, Bill?
What is happening on Friday the 27th? They're going to raise their taxes again or something?
Oh, well, close. I mean, the RNC chair vote is going to happen on Friday. We have Ronna McDaniel running. We have Harmeet Dillon, and we have Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy.
You better change. Anybody but
Ronna,
yeah. And in fact, I got a call. We keep getting calls from the Republican National Committee asking for money. I said, look, you need, as soon as the Republicans grow a backbone, and I'm tired of waiting for that, if you don't get rid of Ronna McDaniel, then, I'm not giving you anything. And they said, well, we still need the money for this, that, and the other. I said, no. Show me some resistance here. Show me some change of leadership at the top, and I'll send you some money.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had 5 election cycles where Republicans were not happy with the outcome. We don't feel like we're winning. We feel like, there's a lot more that could be done. And, when you aren't doing a good job, typically in the private sector, you get fired. Politics is the only arena in which you fail up. I'm not really sure why that is, but we're sick of having these people continue to run our organizations that don't represent us and that don't do the right thing, and they go against our candidates. I mean, she was not good to a lot of the America First candidates.
I am sick and tired of rewarding failure and penalizing excellence, and this is exactly where we are.
Well, and we're the party that says we're all about a meritocracy. We're all about rewarding, people that work hard and do the right thing.
Or campaign on one thing, and then they get there, and then they fold up like a cheap mattress.
Yeah. Well, also, Ronna McDaniel does not represent excellence. She has been given the opportunity to do a great job, and she has not. So, okay, it's time to turn it over, Ronna. She should just step away. I don't think she's going to. Sounds like she is going to fight this and really try to stay the RNC chair.
Yeah. So leadership has to change at the top, and the Republicans themselves have to stand up for what they say that they believe in on the campaign trail. I think I'm proud of Kevin McCarthy so far, who stood up and said he was going to do what he said he was going to do during the campaign. So kudos from that department. And we have some others and some good people that are being put in positions. Seeing to Jim Jordan getting over the judicial situation, and boy, that is a great feather in our cap along those lines. And it's just amazing how much investigation is going to start going on, and wait till you see the kickback that we're going to be getting from the Democrats, who are trying to thwart this thing at every turn. You can just remember how they threw the monkey wrench in the Benghazi investigation, and complained about how much money it was costing and how long it was taking and everything else. By the way, those people are still dead.
Well, and also, Bill, I think we're going to see, this could get really, really interesting for us, because I think we might see the far left side of the Democrat Party really get on board with the investigations with the FBI. We've already seen Ilhan Omar come out and say, I'm interested in this. So what are we going to see? It could be a very uniting thing. I'm interested to see if the left wing of the party will join with the Republicans in some of these investigations.
And as far as with the FBI, why was the director of the FBI off at this World Economic Forum and Summit? What was he doing there?
I'm not sure. And who paid for that, Bill?
I believe we did.
Exactly. I
bet he flew in a private jet.
Well, when I was having a discussion with someone, they brought up the fact that this could be a Logan Act violation, which I know that they tried to get Trump on, correct?
Yeah.
And this really is them talking policy with people that are unelected officials from other countries. They should not be doing this. It should be considered a violation under the Logan Act, in my opinion. I don't know all of the legal ramifications for that, but this FBI director, let's be honest, has been terrible.
No reason that he should be in that position, and I still can't see why we still have thoroughly modern Milli Vanilli as our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as he keeps caving in like a cheap mattress as well on a lot of these policies, and but nothing's too good for Ukraine, but try to get our own military upgraded. That seems to be a different story. All the services are falling way short of their recruitment goals. The Army met only 15% of its recruiting goal last month. 15, not 50, 15% of their recruiting goal in the Army. And the other services were not much different. I think the Marines came out the best. They met 34%. Whoop-de-doo. Send up a flare.
Well, do you blame them? It's a lot of
generational... No, I don't blame them. If you're told that you got to get the Fauci ouchie if you want to keep your job, and we have all sorts of reports about how ineffective that shot is.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to talk a lot about the Fauci ouchie because of the restrictions we have with YouTube and Facebook. However, I would highly
like the truth.
Yes, I would highly recommend everyone goes and checks out On Rumble, Died Suddenly. It was quite the documentary, and I was horrified after watching it. So we're not allowed to play a lot of that stuff here, but I wanted to make that recommendation. I did watch it over the weekend and was definitely very surprised by a lot of it.
I've been around for a while, and I've never heard about all these people that are always just especially that seeming perfectly healthy people just dropping dead, including like Diamond and Silk. Diamond just died recently. She was early 50s?
Yes. And did you see her sister that just came out and said, why are all these people dying suddenly? She was vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's a big thing. And you will see in this Died Suddenly film kind of what the vaccination has done. And it's putting, they're saying blood clots, but really it's a different type of material that's in your blood. It's crazy, Bill. When I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh. So now I'm also frightened that if I ever needed a blood transfusion, what that would look like for me, because, I've chosen not to get vaccinated, and, I've been very public about that. But
same here.
Yeah, I just, that scares me, because it could definitely change my whole blood makeup to get any blood from anyone that is vaccinated. Yeah, and they're not separating it.
Yeah, well, they ought to. I'd like to have the Red Cross and any other blood banks that are how about labeling your blood? You figure out the type. You can figure that out whether somebody's been vaccinated or not. In fact, we saw the story of the head of the Undertakers Association of America or whatever said they've never seen anything like this before, and as they do the get the body ready for
the
embalming, or whether or not they're going to be cremated. But when they take the blood out. They said they've seen all sorts of weird clots that they had never seen before, horseshoe shaped cells and things of this nature. Said they'd never seen anything like this. And these are people who see a lot of dead people, and they see a lot of blood, and they've never seen anything like this. And a lot of these people have been in that industry or business for decades, and they're shocked by what they're seeing. So. Got to be connecting there somewhere.
Yeah, and the fact that you're not allowed to talk about it is part of the problem, I think, and why people really didn't know a lot of things that were going on during COVID and when these vaccines were released. So I feel for people that got vaccinated because they felt like they needed to and that it was the right thing. But I think we're going to see moving forward kind of some continued bad outcomes, and also hear more about how the vaccine did play a big part in a lot of this. So,
well, the truth comes out eventually. To quote the late great Sir Winston Churchill, said that truth is incontrovertible. That ignorance may ridicule it and malice may deride it, but in the end, there it is. So the truth eventually comes out, and there it is. Sorry. And then what are we going? Where are we going to hear from the apologists from that standpoint? Gee, we're sorry we made you get this shot. I haven't heard any of that yet. In fact, sometimes they're doubling down on stupid at the CDC and elsewhere.
Well, and Pfizer too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
coming up next,
we'll be talking about that debt ceiling that we hear so much about, and how much they are.
The debt ceiling.
Yeah.
That's really high. I don't know why we have one, but we'll talk about it next here on Get Real America. So get ready in fact, I think we got, my wife was opening some mail we got from Social Security the other day. And she looks at this and said, they're going up on our taxes on so they're going to tax us on money we've already paid taxes on.
Well, not only that, Bill, isn't it the Republicans that are getting rid of Medicaid and threatening to take away Social Security? And, aren't we the party that's doing that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that we have Democrats in charge, don't we?
We've been accused of that for the last, 60 years.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about that more coming up next.
At Get Real America, we want to promote your business to our conservative audience.
At Get Real America, we want to make sure that the real story gets out, and you can help us as a sponsor or as an advertiser to make sure that that word does get out to the community.
Be a sponsor and support your local community here at Get Real America.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was that they had come to us, because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Bernard Williams Insurance and Financial Services, a locally owned and operated insurance company, proudly serving the Savannah community with integrity, security, and trust. Experience the power of the Shield since 1934. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Monday morning, 23rd day of January, and we're going into the NFL championship playoffs, and we've got Kansas City, Philadelphia, and also San Francisco and Cincinnati are in the playoffs. So NFC, AFC championship games coming up, and then, of course, it's whoever wins those faces off in the Super Bowl.
Which I will say, I do like the Super Bowl. I think the parties are fun.
Yeah.
The food is good. And sometimes the commercials are good. It's been a while, but...
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had some really good commercials. Some of them, you watch it and you say, what was that about? What were they advertising? What gets me is the ones that you don't know until the very end what they're advertising. Now, if it's one of those things where it's a surprise, and that they've done quirky little things in the middle,
clever, right?
and there's this big surprise at the end. Some of them are just, as the late great Stan Freberg used to say, who was the pioneer, one of the great satirists of all time, if not the best, who invented basically the funny commercial, the comedy commercial. And self-deprecating humor in many cases, like when he did Volkswagen ads. And he said, because he told the people when he first got the contract, he said, you can't say that this is a good-looking automobile, okay? It's called the Bug for a number of reasons. So what we have to do is promote things like, the great gas mileage it was getting, and this is a day when gas was 27 cents a gallon, that it was an air-cooled engine, so you didn't have to ever put water in the engine, that sort of thing. It just went on and on. Let's talk about the positive things. And he did great commercials over the years, a lot of it with self-deprecating humor. And he said there's a difference between being off-beat and off-base. And a lot of these things a lot of these commercials you'll look at and you say, what was that for? Why did they do that? What did they think this was? Did they think this was funny? Did they think this, the people would understand what this was for, what it was all about? And you need, if you're going to spend $6 million on a commercial, I don't know what the going rate is this year, but it's pretty expensive. If you're going to spend that much money on a 30 or 60 second commercial, you want people to at least buy the product or at least give it a shot.
Yeah, and I will say I've been very disappointed in the last several years with the commercials.
I have too.
It's like the creativity they're turning over to AI or something. I don't know. But we do have a couple comments from our friend Lizzie Warren. She says excess heart attacks are up 17% in Australia and lots of vaccine regret.
Gee.
I think that we would both agree with that. I think that there's, and that's the other thing, Bill. I do feel like there were people that were coerced or felt like they didn't have another option. And I do feel really, really bad for those people that felt like they didn't have a choice. And I think that as conservatives that maybe did not get the vaccine, we need to also give compassion to those people where I think sometimes we are, because of how awful people were to us, we kind of return the favor, and I just don't think that's the right thing to do. I think that we need to, sympathize with those people and also figure out how we help those people that were vaccine injured.
When are they going to quit doubling down on stupid? That when they're caught in a lie, it's like they make even a bigger one up, and nobody ever pays. And what gets me is that nobody ever pays the consequences. Never pays the price for their stupidity or their lying or whatever it was, the ruse that they were putting in front of us. They seem to either get promoted or they get some golden parachute to go away, but we never see them. We never see them going to prison. We never see them being charged with any criminal activity or anything because of the lies that they told to us over the years. And it's in the media the same way. We know these stories are totally false, and yet nobody pays the price for them.
No, and I think that our attention span as Americans has shortened so much that a lot of times we just move on and don't want to hear about it again.
Exactly.
But something like this, I think, is one of the biggest attacks on humans.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well,
and we can't just forget about it because it's going to continue to impact people, especially because you have the President of the United States continuing to say, get your booster shot.
Mm-hmm. And we have, and every time you turn on the radio or sometimes on television, you will see these commercials that are paid for by the CDC. Well, that means you paid for it. To get your shot. And make sure you do that. And if you want your child to live past the age of 3, make sure that they get the shot. And they just go on, and all of this at taxpayers' expense, by the way. So
that's why we should just get rid of the CDC. They've done.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things along with public school.
We got a list for you if you're looking.
We have an alphabetical list if you'd like to, if you would like to see one. But I think the worst thing that we're facing, Brittany, is that we think people are paying attention because we are.
Yep.
When you see the man on the street interviews, and I have, and there's a member of my family, God love her, but you ask her anything about politics or about how the government works, or and boy, she's it's deer in the headlights look. And when you see the interviews, like when Jesse Waters sends his guy out on the street to do these interviews, whether it's on the street or on the beach, when they're talking to some of these college kids during 4th of July break or Christmas or whatever it is, and ask them, what are we celebrating the 4th of July for? And they don't know. How many stars on the flag? Gee, I don't know. That was one of the things on Jay Leno when he did jaywalking. Back in the day, he asked us. He's talking to this girl. He said, "How many stars on that flag across the street?" They says, "I don't know. The wind's blowing too hard. I can't count them."
Oh, geez.
I mean, and these people are serious. And you ask them anything about politics, or ask them who the vice president is, and they don't know. And that's why we didn't have the big red tsunami that we should have had, because people weren't paying attention.
Well, but that's the thing, Bill. I don't know how. And maybe I'm too involved, but I don't know how you get away from politics. I feel like it plays a role in every aspect of my life. I mean, you just go to the grocery store. It's no accident that eggs, I saw them for $8 for a dozen of eggs.
But the thing is that they're not, apparently they're not connecting that with the leaders in charge, or we wouldn't have had a single Democrat reelected.
I don't understand how that works, because
I'll
tell
either.
you what, 2 years ago, everything was less expensive and my pocketbook was a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. When Donald Trump was in charge, what was inflation? Less than 2%. Biden just took another victory lap for it being 6%, because it's come down from 8. Oh, send up a flare. And you go down the list of how many things that have gone up. We were going after our own oil, so gas was less than $3 a gallon. In fact, in many cases, it came down. I remember that the naysayers said we'll never have gasoline that's less than $2 a gallon anymore. And I remember paying something like $1.90 or something like that with a Kroger discount or something when we were going after our own oil. And when our military was meeting its recruiting goals, when inflation was under control and businesses were coming back to America, because if you remember, the communist Obama was saying, what's he going to do? Wave a magic wand? No, he cut the taxes and cut regulations. And businesses came back in droves. We had more people employed than ever before. More white people were employed. More black people were employed more than ever before. More black teens were employed, because that was one of the cries during, even when Obama was in charge, said these black kids can't find jobs during the summer. They didn't have any trouble when Donald Trump was in charge.
Yeah, and I don't think people give Trump enough credit. I know that he has a bombastic personality, and sometimes that's a lot for people. But
so what?
He did make it so that our lives were better when he was in charge, although the media definitely, I think, everyone was so sick of the media talking about Donald Trump. I'm still sick of them talking about Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. He's not even the president, and I still hear more about him than Joe Biden. So, well,
they're doing that on purpose because they know that he very well could get reelected, and just of course they knew he was reelected in the first place, but that's another story. But they know that he could go back into office, and they are trying to destroy him. That's what they're doing. All of this because they know he was trying to drain the swamp. And the old saying goes, when you're up to your butt in alligators, it's hard to remember that your initial job was to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what he had to face. We have Adam Schiff, who every time we turned around, he had these papers that we've got all this evidence. Nobody ever asked Adam to produce those. Finally, one guy did, and he said they contacted his office 3 or 4 times. Said, okay, you said you've got the papers. Let me, submit them to me, and I will publish them, and we'll glean what we need and publish them. Never got back to him because they didn't exist. Adam Schiff is lying. When you see his lips moving, you know that he's lying. And fortunately, they're kicking him off of his committee now that the Republicans are in charge by the hair of their chinny chin chin. But it is just pathetic that we're having to put up that the thing. I can imagine how many good, all the great things that Donald Trump accomplished. I can imagine how much greater it would have been if he'd had a little support, even from his own party.
Exactly. And I think, so going to the debt ceiling, which I think is a huge fight up at Capitol Hill right now in D.C., you know, I don't know why the goal is always to talk about how Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, you know, the Republicans are going to cut it and, you know, it's going to damage all they're not even on the table.
How many times have we heard this? And I beg the Republicans to do this. I said, would you please go back and get these Democrat ads from 1964 forward and just do a little montage of them saying the same thing every election cycle, that the Republicans are going to take away your Social Security. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And it's just, you know, Social Security is the greatest Ponzi scheme that was ever perpetrated on America or the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have to do something. I don't know what that is. But, you know, my generation, I don't think we'll ever see that money that we've paid in. I don't think it's going to happen.
I was worried I wasn't going to see any of it. At least I'm getting a check every month.
They found another place to steal it from. I mean, we are trillions of dollars in debt.
Some more for the government to take back.
Yeah.
And so they give with one hand, take away from the other with the other.
Well, they're saying that every working class American I think they owe around $274,000 with the current debt per. That's, and when you're born, you're already $126,000 in debt when you're born to the government. So that's exciting and fun.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Manchin, you know, hit or miss. This guy, he is all over the map. I don't trust him. I have no idea how West Virginia keeps electing him. However, he is saying that, you know, Biden does need to negotiate, and Biden's refusing to negotiate about the debt ceiling along with Chuck Schumer. So I was actually quite surprised with him.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
The White House says that they want Congress to pass a clean debt ceiling increase. No negotiations with Republicans at all. Is that a mistake?
I think it's a mistake because we have to negotiate. This is a democracy that we have. We have a two-party system, if you will. And we should be able to talk and find out where our differences are. And if they're irreconcilable, then you have to move on from there and let the people make their decisions. Yeah.
I can't imagine why he doesn't become a Republican, especially after he's been backstabbed. You know, he went along with the stimulus package, that $1.7 trillion monstrosity, because they promised him, we're going to let you build your pipelines. I don't know why he fell for this, because they've been cutting pipelines and energy everywhere else. Governor Whitmer up there in Michigan, the people were stupid enough to reelect, is talking about cutting off one of their pipelines from Canada, which would be a disaster. I don't know where they think that, what big rock candy mountain do they live on?
I don't know. It might be the Black Rock Candy Mountain, because I think
it is the Black Rock Candy Mountain. Yeah, that's right. So and Black Rock's trying to go back and tell you what great things that they're doing. They're actually buying ads on Fox now, telling you what a wonderful organization they are, and they are not. But they promised Manchin, okay, yeah, you can have those pipelines. And then when he voted for it, and he said, okay, let me get that stuff in the budget here for the pipelines. Ooh, I'm sorry, there's just not enough in there. It's only 1.7 trillion, Joe. We can't give you any.
Well, not only that, he plays both sides of the fence, which I think I'm working across the aisle is the term that they use. However, they don't support. They don't do the things that their constituents want them to do. And I think that that's a huge problem that we're seeing across the board. And Joe Manchin, people want to like him on the Republican side, but also when he pulls stuff like that, it makes it really hard. And I know that they are working to primary him in 2024, which I'm looking forward to that. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yep. He could be looking for work. So coming up next,
you had the opportunity to talk to Marco George.
Marco George is one of the area representatives for Young Life. We'll tell you what that's all about coming up next on Get Real.
Gracias. Thank you. What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care can keep families together. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Bernard Williams Insurance and Financial Services, a locally owned and operated insurance company, proudly serving the Savannah community with integrity, security, and trust. Experience the power of the Shield since 1934. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
Yeah. Well, hey there. That looked like Periscope depth or something. There we go.
We're just trying some interesting stuff out, right?
Yeah,
Bill?
that's right. That's us, Innovation City.
Yes, absolutely.
We had Star Parker in town last week. Boy, I'll tell you, what a dynamic. I mean, this is a force of nature. This lady is amazing, and she identifies as a lady too.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about her.
Yeah, I do too.
She also, I will say we got to see her twice. We were lucky enough to go to a couple events with her. And I will say, she talked more spiritually in one of them, and she had different groups of people she was talking to. And I will say, her spirituality, it comes across in a way that is so genuine and not so. You know how sometimes you run into people and it's so churchy that it feels disingenuine. She was quoting Bible verses, but it didn't feel like Bible verses. I mean, she was just so authentic, and man, I felt very lucky that I got to see her twice.
Incorporated it right into her remarks, and she's one who is one of those lefties and who saw the light at an early age, and turned her life around and realized how much she was being lied to and how much the black community was being lied to. And among those who were in the audience on both occasions that where we went as well was Marco George, good friend of mine who goes back for a while, and he's one of the area directors in charge of Young Life, and had a chance to talk with Marco after the Thrive event with Star Parker on Friday morning, and asked him I said, Marco, tell us all about Young Life, what you guys are doing these days. Talk about Young Life a little bit. Tell everybody who you are.
Hey, I'm Marco George. I'm one of the area directors here with Savannah Young Life.
And what I haven't heard about Young Life in a while. Tell me a little bit about it there, Marco.
Well, Young Life is a Christian ministry. We are unapologetically Christian, but we are a mentoring organization. We like to say we waste time with teenagers. We do life with kids. It is a relational, incarnational ministry. We spend time, build relationships with kids in hopes that we might earn the right to speak into their lives.
How's it going?
It's going phenomenal. We actually are getting ready to head out today to a weekend camp up at Sharp Top Cove, which is in North Georgia, up in Pickens County, Georgia, which is just outside of the Woodstock, Canton area. We are taking about 70 kids, 2 bus loads, going up there for the weekend. So things are going well here in Savannah. Ministry is going great. We could always use more volunteers. So if you have a heart for teenagers and you love Jesus, check us out.
What age range kids are you usually working with?
Young Life ministers to middle, high school, and college students. This is our high school outreach camp.
Okay.
So we have high schoolers from 9th to 12th grade going up to this weekend camp.
And how do people get in touch with you and find out more about it?
They can go to savannah.younglife.org, and you can reach us there on our website. You can call me at 912-596-2799.
Now, tell me about as far as how the kids are reacting, because we get so much secular world things and looking at your phone and everything else.
Well, we actually take the electronics from the kids when they get on the bus near camp. So they spend the weekend or in the summer a full week without their electronic devices. And those kids will tell you, we have testimony after testimony from kids, that it was the best weekend or the best week of their life.
So they don't need rehab.
They don't need rehab from social media and all of that done.
What's been the most encouraging thing about this as far as getting kids back to God? Because they can't talk about it in public schools, that's for darn sure.
I think the most encouraging thing, this past summer, we averaged anywhere from 700 to 1,000 kids at camp during our summer camp. I worked the camp for 4 weeks this past summer, and on average, we were seeing between 250 and 400 kids either accept Christ for the first time or renew their relationship with Christ. That's encouraging to see young people coming back to Jesus, to see young people set a fire or rekindle a fire for living for Christ and wanting to see their friends or other teenagers win their campus for Christ. That is the most encouraging part for me.
Now, when you come back from this weekend, I'd like to do a follow-up with you and to talk to some of the kids about what they learned and to do a follow-up on this and set an example.
Definitely. Appreciate it.
Okay.
I'd love to do that.
There he is, Marco George, one of the area directors for Young Life, a great organization. And that is a wonderful website, savannah.younglife.org. It will give you some great pictures and tell you all about it. It's something that your child should be involved with.
Yes, and I'm all about taking away electronics from kids. I think that is a big thing, and I love that they're able to do that and also have the kids focus out in nature and, building community within each other. So I think that's
and the reaction from the kids when they thought okay, I'm gonna miss this thing. My electronic leash is gone. What am I going to do when they get out in the fresh air and sunshine and the great outdoors? They find out maybe there's something else to life.
Yes, and I think that's important for our kids to learn because I think that a lot of kids today have never been without, playing on their parents' cell phone or an iPad I see these little ones. They're on those iPads and sometimes they can work them better than me, Bill.
Yeah, little kids shouldn't have them. No. Get something else for them, okay? And when you go into a restaurant, it grieves me to see a family sitting there with the kids, everybody looking down at their phone. I don't know if they're texting each other or whatever it is that they're doing. I thought, I'm really surprised that they didn't take phones out of at least public schools years ago because it looks like they're praying. You don't want to be mistaken. You don't want to be mistaken for praying, for goodness sakes, in a public school. But to see a family just sitting there and the kids are not engaged at all. They're playing their video games or whatever. So I'm glad that our son and daughter-in-law don't let our kids do that at the restaurant. It will be a reward to them if they're good. Their table manners are good. They eat all their food. Take and get all the food on the plate or whatever, or at least make an attempt to. Sometimes the portions are a little large.
They're very large at restaurants.
But they'll say, okay, you can now play this particular game. But it's a reward. It's not just one of those things where you just do it just to keep them quiet or something. We want them engaged with us. We want them to talk to us.
Yeah, well, and we talked a little bit about Davos last week, but there was a lot of people there, and one of the big topics is, of course, climate change, but the other one is this technology and the artificial intelligence that's coming down the pike, and they're saying that there is not going to be a lot of need for copywriters and creative minds because they're going to be able to have an AI that does it. So I think that that's something that we should all think about when we're giving our kids these electronics. And
there was, I heard something that was extremely frightening about a year or so ago of an AI, doing Jerry Seinfeld.
Yep.
And it made up its own jokes and everything, and the jokes were funny. And the only way you could tell it really wasn't Seinfeld, the timing was off on the joke. Sometimes it's not the joke itself, it's how you tell a joke. There's an art to it. The pregnant pause or the surprise little note, the way you phrase it, the emphasis that you put on it, on a particular word or a particular subject, makes the difference on whether you're going to start, falling out of the chair laughing or you're just going to say, heh. So that was the only difference, was the timing that you could tell that wasn't really Jerry Seinfeld, but it sure sounded like him, and the jokes were pretty funny.
Well, and when you look at people that are creatives, right? They paint, they do all of these things. When you're talking AI that can create and generate that, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you're going to be taking out a lot of human aspect, and for me, creativity is one of the biggest ones. And when you take that away, what is our society going to look like, Bill? I think that that's going to be a huge issue.
We're going to have to figure out how to do it because the machines could take over. And that is the worry as much as anything else. What was it? I think there was one of the universities had the two machines talking to each other or whatever.
Yep.
And they locked in and they formed their own language.
Yep.
And the people in charge were like, what's it? What are you saying? And they said, we're not going to tell you.
See, and I think that this is a huge issue, and also replacing a lot of the human aspect. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you walk up to a kiosk and there's a person or a kiosk you can choose from, most people would choose the person because they don't want to deal with the computer.
Oh, it's now. I went into McDonald's the other day, and I walked up to the counter, and I was about to order, and said, "You order on the kiosk back here." I said, "Excuse me, you can't take the order right here? No, you got to do it over there."
How much fun was it for you to use the kiosk?
It was a load of laughs because I couldn't find. I was looking for a particular drink, and frozen drinks. So
Yes.
I go there, and it's not there. And I said, it's not on the kiosk. She said, "Oh, what are you looking for?" I said, "I'm looking for the frappe." She said, "Oh, you have to go to coffee."
Well,
I have to go to coffee. There's no coffee in the frappe that I'm ordering.
Well, and I think that that's the thing is that the people at the restaurant should know the system, right? Where
Exactly.
someone that's going in.
Well, this lady did. I mean, I'm not complaining about that. It's the fact that
but
they had
had
the
to do it,
frappe
but
in
you
their
don't
coffee.
know. But she would know that, but a customer would not know
Exactly.
that. So I think that that's the issue is that you don't know the system, and yet you're going to sit there, which also creates another problem where the line starts to form. People start to get frustrated. You're already frustrated, so I think it just creates a lot of problems.
Yeah. And you want to add to your order, and then you got to go back. Oh yeah, I don't want to add to the order. I do want that.
It doesn't sound like very much fun, Bill.
And then I think they're doing one McDonald's at least one of the
100%.
100%.
Yep, it opened I think about a month ago.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I can't recall which state that opened in, but
Getting closer to us is In-N-Out Burgers. They have formed their first. They opened their first franchise east of the Mississippi, just a couple of weeks ago in Tennessee. So they're leaving California because of all the regulations and taxes and everything else. They're beginning to drift out of California and they're coming east. And it's a Christian-based group, just like Chick-fil-A. It's kind of the Chick-fil-A of hamburgers.
Okay, and I will say, people are not going to like this, but I'm not a huge fan of In-N-Out Burger. We had them in Utah, and I think that they're okay, but not my favorite burger. But always exciting when a new chain's coming to town, and Chick-fil-A has blown up. I mean, they had I don't know how many stores they have open here, but it doesn't matter what time of day you go, you're always going to be waiting in line.
Yeah.
They do move fast. They do move quick.
Yeah,
I will give them that.
You look over next door to the burger place, and there's nobody there. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, and the line around Chick-fil-A is wrapped around there twice, and you say, "I'm going to be here all day," and you're there 5 minutes maybe. They know how to get, and so all the other fast food places ought to take a lesson from because I went to another one recently. Because they were advertising their signature burger, and I waited at the window for what seemed an inordinate amount of time before finally somebody came up and acknowledged. And I know they're having trouble getting help, but they had a lady come to the window that was older than I was. And, I mean, and she got the order wrong. So the signature burger wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Nevertheless, we'll try to continue to save America coming up tomorrow. That's going to wrap it up here for this Monday. So we're off and running. We'll be back with the Tuesday edition tomorrow, where we'll continue to make fun of liberals.
Yes, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
God bless.